Hello?
Hello. Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, yo. Where you calling in from?
Montgomery.
Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, you been doing good though. I ain't spoke to you in a while. That's good.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute, but I've been doing good.
That's good to hear. I'm real good to hear that. Well, glad to hear that. Sorry about that. But yeah, with everything going on though, I know you always been an outspoken person, and
Yeah.
I really just been like really interested to like hear your whole outlook on everything going on, whether it's political. We already know with everything going on with the whole
Right.
situation. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I've been really just interested in hearing your point because, like I said, I always know you always been outspoken. That's interesting.
It means that with a lot of, or with more free time on my hands, honestly, I'm able to focus on myself more.
Yeah, I know you do music
Mhm.
too. I always hear you do your singing and everything.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
definitely. So you see it
Yeah.
like more
So,
like a self-reflection aspect.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it could be argued that all the change that people want to see in the world has to start with themselves anyway.
Right.
So having the time to sit back and self-reflect, that is very valuable. Actually, more valuable than people are realizing.
Mhm.
More valuable than people are realizing. Just that 1 year last year of quarantine and the ability to self-reflect could have changed someone's entire mindset. I know because it changed mine.
Mhm.
It definitely started me spinning in a new direction as far as my mind.
Mhm.
So that's powerful because the mind is arguably one of the most powerful things about us human beings.
Yeah, in the universe. Yeah.
I think it is. Mhm.
That's deep right there. That's a good point because like as you said that about the whole aspect of self-reflection, it helped me out a lot too. In a matter of like learning the world around me more. Learning how what we have control over. Like you said, a lot of things are uncontrollable, but we learn what we can control and make a difference. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And and control too is an aspect of becoming more aware. You know, um,
Mhm.
that's a big aspect of it. That's what really helped me. And to really look at it, like you said, yeah, that all goes back to perception. What you were just talking about, it's all about perception.
Mhm.
And learning ourselves as individuals, and that really help us like as people. Because how can we be a people if we ain't even a person first?
What? That's deep too. That was
Yeah.
good. That's a very good statement.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yeah, because you got to know I is important. If you don't have the I aspect, and we ain't always going to completely get it down because we're always growing, you know. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's about learning and using as much as you as possible. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. It's really that I aspect is. I say that was important. That's a very important one because a lot of conflict, majority of the conflict that goes on, from small skills to big skills, like from bullying at school or from like entire laws that are being made that may include one, but kind of like mess over another group of people. We tend to attack what we don't understand.
Right.
We tend to criticize what we don't understand.
And deem
And
out as
a lot
evil,
of
etc.
reasons why
Yeah.
we don't understand it because we don't understand ourselves. When we understand the I, when we understand who we are, when we understand actually like what our humanness is, what it means to be human, what it means to be who we are, then it kind of sheds light on everyone else. You look at the entire world different. I'm sorry, sometimes. You look at the entire world differently when you understand yourself, when you understand how complex you can be, when you understand that you can have contradicting feelings inside of your body. You can be both happy and sad. You can agree and disagree with something at the same time.
Right.
It's very possible And I know nowadays a lot of people are, like, society is very big on black and white thinking.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like, if it's not this, then by default it must be this. If you're not up, then you must be down. Like, no, I'm actually adjacent 35 degrees to the left. Like, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not just strictly black and white. Humans are one of the humans are humans are the most complex creature walking this land. We are the most complex land creatures, hands down, and it's because of our mind.
Mhm.
Which is why I argue that the mind is the most powerful thing that we got walking this earth.
Because we we process. You know what I'm saying? It's like a computer.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they imitate us with technology. And you see how perfect technology is. Imagine if humans use our brains, how powerful we really are. Because a computer, now it went from just being behind, like a computer in the office. Now it's a television. Now it's a car. You know what I'm saying? Everything's becoming computerized to where now they're taking a human away from us, and now we're, begging to have it back. But at the same time, it's like we had it this long, and we used it, like you said, for the commun. They made us communists, in a sense of, like you said, the black and the white way of thinking. You know what I mean? And just basically not having no color to anything. And when it is in color, it represents, it's like the TV. Remember, the TV started out black and white. And when it was static, and remember when it was out of tune, it was static. It'd be gray, you know what I'm saying? When they come together, it'd be like a grayish color. But then they made the TV go into color, but then that sent us, just like the Wizard of Oz, how that sent us into nothing but like the whole aspect of illusion, So that's a great point you made right there, because it is a lot of black and white thinking. And then when you really sit back and you just think about this stuff, or even just get out in nature, and stuff like that, none of this stuff really matters for real.
That's amazing, because it really doesn't. And that's amazing. I want to comment on what you just said about them turning us into communists.
Mhm.
And the reason I want to comment on that is because that word has such a negative connotation behind it. It's such a negative undertone to be labeled a communist or to be called a communist. But a communist is basically, or communism, I'm sorry, is a society where property is publicly owned and each person who works is paid according to their ability.
Right.
And needs.
That's true what you're saying. That's definitely true what you're saying. And it's like,
it's the definition of communism.
Yeah.
And I really want to know where, okay, it's kind of like the same guys who call communism bad, the same guys who call communism bad are the same guys that would do things like approve a law that would lock children in cages. And I have to go there. Because that's a solid example. Those are the same patriotic people who label communism as a bad thing.
See, you see what you're saying?
It's straight there to me.
Yeah, see, I hear what you're saying, because it's deep. It's just the ones who are, it's just like, it goes back to this. It's all about the ones who have influence on how they're used. It's just like water. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Water, for instance, water is water. If I boil it and then I complain about it, I can't drink it now. You get what I'm saying? Because it's hot. I'm the one that is how you're using it. It all goes back to how when they use the whole aspect. Cause I definitely get what you're saying. Because when you understand the sense of
they wanted us to stray away from that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm being 100% real. I just looked up communism for the first time. What, a minute and 30 seconds ago?
Right.
2 minutes ago. I had no idea what it meant, but as soon as you said they're turning us, or they turned us into communists, I immediately associated it with negativity. I immediately felt like that was a bad thing. I immediately felt like the undertone of your sentence was to say that something negative had happened. The effect was negative.
Yeah, it all goes back to the whole aspect of the society and which who's influencing it. Because everything is what it is. It's a good and bad to everything. But at the end of the day, it's the which way are they using it? When they use the whole aspect
of as well.
Yeah.
It's about who has the influence, but
exactly.
It's really what are their motives for what they're influencing.
Exactly, because when we look at it, no, you go. Yeah, so when we look at it, like when I use like the word communism, when you look at communism is like a way of like it's like the way of keeping a custom. You know what I'm saying? When you look at how they use it, the way they use communism is in a sense of lack of freedom of speech. Because when we look at it right now, they're taking that whole aspect of being individual or having your own way of, okay, hold on, I don't feel comfortable with my kid, sending my kid into an environment where now they made a law where they said they're taking away the boy and girl's gender signs. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I'm not sure how valid I'm not sure how true that's going to be because, but go ahead.
No, yeah, you get. It's just like little stuff like the things that they're taking away because people are trying to.
Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It gives me Colin Kaepernick vibes.
It's the influence, the one who's influencing the society.
Yes.
Communism is not bad because
better, or he's disrespecting the people who service this country.
But it's
like,
deeper rooted with that though, because
not what he was doing. His intention was to raise awareness. It's like to raise awareness that he's aware.
Right.
That was his intention. That's the way I see it. He was raising awareness to his awareness. He was acknowledging that he sees what's going on, and he's not just so caught up being a football player. And it's funny because people want to use that same exact phrase right there, like focus on football. People want to they want to stress that to them, make them feel as if they have an opinion outside of the thing that they enjoy doing, their passion, their career, then they're overstepping some sort of boundary. Which boundary?
When you look at Colin Kaepernick, though, I get what you're saying. Like I said, it all goes back to the ones influencing it. Because when you look at Colin Kaepernick, the reason why he started doing that is because he's under that Nike contract. Not talking about the police brutality, the kneeling, none of that. But when you look at that whole aspect of the Nike, yeah, when you look at the Nike aspect, they're playing a huge role in the whole aspect of the social society. Because what they're pushing, when you look at it, what they're pushing now, especially look at the Colin Kaepernick. I've been doing a lot on Colin Kaepernick for a minute, and just like people who got they're taking away the logical thinking and making people be conformed to, like we just said, not having perception. You get what I'm saying? Because they want us to be in that black and white thinking. Because we gotta remember, it's not just they give us these celebrities, athletes, entertainers, events, all of this. And they have motives. Remember, we went back to what we were talking about with the motive aspect. They have motives and how they want to use it because, for instance, if you put a guy out there like Colin Kaepernick, especially when we know about the fraternities and stuff that he's linked up with, the wife he has, what she's involved with, because there was another player that she was with that was doing the same thing, and I think he ended up getting in trouble. I forgot what happened with him, but then she cut him off and had Colin Kaepernick do it. You know, she was winning while Colin Kaepernick was doing the same thing that the other guy that she was with was doing. And then how Nike, when we know what Nike is about, you got to look at the people who are in the higher ups at Nike who's like controlling it. Like look at the LeBron James, he does it. Serena Williams, you got to know, like when you under that contract, especially them, they got lifetime deals. So it's stuff in that bold print that we don't know about in that contract, you know what I'm saying? And you got to think, LeBron and them, like what was it, Malcolm X said, that you're never going to see, let's just go into the race aspect. You're never going to see a white man out here saying, you know, like the higher elite, like white society, saying, okay, look, man, you know, David Beckham is our spokesperson. You're never going to hear that. You know what I'm saying? When you look at us, we look at LeBron James as a leader, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you get what I'm saying, because they give us it's the
exactly
mental,
what you said. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When you look at, okay, I have an interesting view of life, I guess you could say.
Right. Go ahead.
I like
yeah,
to
definitely.
spectrum things. I chart things.
That's why I want to talk to you, because I know how you like to put your intake on things.
I have a whole spectrum of life,
right,
which is bad or hurtful or pain, neutral, indifferent, and good, pleasure, and positive.
Yeah, sun and rain. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that spectrum, and I believe that human beings, no matter race, ethnicity, creed, anything, no matter what, I believe that the soul in general, the human essence, is sprayed out across that spectrum, as is the universe, as is everything.
Right.
Sprayed out across that spectrum. We see different colors. We see that. I'm not going to get that deep. I'm going to.
No, yeah, take it. Just take it.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, when it comes down to what you just said, I have to get it back because I lost it.
Was it about the athlete aspect?
It was yes. Okay, so when it comes down to that, all right. The people, the elite. You said you want to get into the race aspect, right?
More, not like look. When I say race, I'm more just talking about elite, but I just use the hypothetical on a basic level.
No, it actually involves race.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah.
We can say that that race is a part of the category.
Right.
Race is one of the tags or whatever. So when you get into that, those same people who want to make the world black and white. Everything is spectrum. It's not just with our thinking that they started. I'm speaking for those people who want that, those people who are influencing that, who are putting out that agenda. It didn't start with just our minds. If you pay attention, they have physically separated us black and white. They've done that first and foremost.
Divide and conquer.
Yes. So the thing is, when you go into the different classes, like wealthy, middle, lower,
right.
No matter who, it's kind of like when I was talking about, liking to do charts or whatever. It's kind of like no matter who is in that position, all of the results and effects, side effects, and everything else is going to be the same. No matter who's occupying that space. Now, because of the different moves that have been made over the past, few centuries or whatever the case is,
etc. Yeah.
However far back it goes.
Yeah.
The spaces that have been occupied have been filled. It's like separating checker pieces almost from one side of the board to the other. They've been arranged to where this class is occupied by certain amounts of people, while the opposite class is occupied by certain amounts of people. So all the things that we've come to associate with wealth or having, higher structure or higher powers, or this has all been kind of created by the mind of the people occupying that space. Does that necessarily make it?
Yeah.
Does it necessarily make it, what it is, concrete? No, it does not. All of this is perception. These are all humans who have ideas, who have ways that they feel things should be, and they just placed it into effect on a grander scale. But now the thing is, anybody can occupy that space. That space does not have to be filled by white people specifically.
Right.
It doesn't have to be filled by anyone specifically, but just speaking as far as the whole race black and white thing, it doesn't have to be filled by white people necessarily, which means that the rules don't have to be their rules. Because to say that those rules that are already there are concrete and that's what it is and that's how it's supposed to be, is to say that they define wealth itself. And that is not the truth. They do not define wealth itself. They have acquired it Yes, but they do not define it. They don't define what it means. They don't define what it looks like. That's for the people who's occupying that space to do. It's kind of like every space comes with its own. When you're occupying that space up there, you have the right to make the rules. So it is for this. That's just how I feel about it.
No, that's real. That's why I said it all goes back to the influencer and agenda. You know what I'm saying? Because that goes back to what you just said about those who are in that, for instance, the higher ups. Let's just put it that way. We got to understand, too, it's like people it ain't even, like a lot of these people are all tied in to where they all are playing this. It's when you go back to the occupying a space, there has to be a role played. You know what I mean? So I'm not talking about we're not even talking about race. We're just talking about in general. It's just like a queen piece. She's not going to be out in the front line like a pawn. You know what I'm saying? It just don't work like that. The pawns got to go first in order for certain pawns have to basically be gone first in order for that queen to even make a move to begin with, or open some type of, some type of space in order to make a maneuver happen. So when we look at that, it's just like that all goes back to like you just said, because what it goes back to us, remember we were talking about the whole aspect of the communism in their world, their sense, and their definition of communism, let's say like that, their definition of communism, because when you think of us, like, say for instance, we have ideas and perceptions, right?
Right.
But when you take, say for instance, you get conditioned through the first thing they're gonna ask you, like say third grade, third grade.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you good. The first thing they're gonna ask you when you like second, third grade is what do you want to be when you grow up? They're gonna give you a certain amount of choices. Right. They might say fireman, police officer, singer. It's gonna be like you're not really gonna have an innovating type way of creating anything, because it's like they already giving you that thought to, okay, these are my only choices. How many times in rap songs do we hear it? All I can do is either be a rapper or have a jump shot or sling rock. We hear it, So when you listen to this aspect of how they want to conform us to where, then they give us people who basically play. Remember, that goes back to our talking about playing a role. So you have the people we see on the TV who plays a role, and they set them up, and they might give them a background story, real or not. This person grew up single mom. He grew up in the most dangerous neighborhood in Compton, etc. Now he's a multi-millionaire. You can do it too. You know what I mean? Because it's the roles that we see, that we have and we're influenced by. Especially if they come from an area like us, so that's going to limit us into not wanting to innovate anything. You know what I'm saying? You hear people who got it's like the miseducation played a huge role in like just whole society, like society as a collective. You feel me?
Yeah, that's very true. That's why I feel it's crazy, because you really don't see me, as active as I used to be on topics, because I've come to realize, like me, I'm very solution oriented. I'm problem oriented, but only because I like solutions.
Mm-hmm.
I like for things to be addressed, because I like for things to actually be dealt with.
Right.
So I've realized that the best course of action is to not worry about adult minds, but child ones.
That's like the fertile soil right there. That's true. You plant the seed.
And that makes me not. It makes me. It's like when I do speak to people, and we start talking maybe about life, certain parts of life, and
that's like
they're like, well,
change the world.
ain't nobody gonna listen to that, and that's when I kind of like sit back and I kind of laugh a little bit, and I'm like, girl, I don't even expect them to. Or boy, I don't even expect it to. I don't.
And can I say one thing too? Have you noticed people that, like children are the ones who just like to elaborate on that. An adult would sit there and say, "What am I supposed to do about it?" You know what I mean? And they what happens? So that goes back that goes back to the whole aspect of perception, and it all goes back to miseducation. And you know what happens to us as children, that's why we're supposed to stay childlike and, rejoicing and happy and, juvenile in heart, because what happens to us is once you become an adult, imagination leaves you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the people. Because think about it, for instance, let's say this. You go from, say, when you're like 5 years old, you love making, you can give a child a stick and he'll make a whole story to keep him entertained all day, You give that to someone, like, say you give a stick or something to like a teenager, like, man, what am I supposed to do with this? Like you just said, children are like the fertile. Those are the ones you plant the seed in. Once something ages, the flower grows now,
And I feel like whenever the conversation is about, us wanting to do better as a community, first of all, we have to acknowledge the fact that we want to look at each other as a community, first and foremost, because right now it's seeming very Civil War-ish within the community. Well, and it's not even Civil War-ish. It's really just like a free-for-all situation.
It's Civil War to a degree, because the ones who are going to come together are going to come together,
Yeah. But it's just like we have to first, acknowledge that that's what we want. And next, I would say, I forgot my point almost. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, children, we should be focusing on what they're learning. We should be focusing on developing our own, means of education and taking care of the communities that we are coming up in. We don't necessarily have to move to better communities. It's decent land occupied all around us. We can just build our own community up where we live, the places that we grow emotionally attached to. But the children, though, the children should be the main focus. I mean, of course, we could try to, still talk sense into some adults, because it's adults who will listen, it's adults who will change, it's adults who will understand. The main priority should be creating our own, and I'm going to start being blunt again, creating our own system of education.
That's the first thing.
It really is, because when I tell you, I hated history in high school because it was so actually just history in general, but it was so pointless past certain points.
Yeah, like what did Thomas Jefferson eat for breakfast?
And I think that's why I say high school, because we've learned all our states. You know what I'm saying? We've learned the geographics of the land that we're living on, which I do find important. But all that other stuff, boy, it was so pointless. It was so useless.
Why am I learning rocket science?
And it's crazy because I remember learning about some invention, or learning about some people who, like, learning about someone building a whole franchise or a whole international business or something like that. I'm just giving examples. But I remember reading about something that amazed me, and my first thought being, how did they do that? But it doesn't tell you that. It just tells you what they did.
It just tells you the result.
And it kind of it just sings praises to them for doing it, but it's not really teaching you anything.